All right, well, welcome everybody. I'm Deanna Fierro, and this is our second Heritage Month here at Henrico County Public Schools that we're celebrating out of the Office of Equity, Diversity, and Opportunity. This month, we're celebrating the November National Native American Month, and in the previous month, we celebrated Hispanic Heritage. Now, I do want to note that we do celebrate four major ones, and that is because those are the largest populations of students that we have here in Henrico County Public Schools. So with that, we're going to begin. We have a very special guest for this virtual event. If you have friends that you would like to watch this video, remember to visit us on YouTube. We'll have it posted there later on this week so you can share it out with your colleagues, families, and community members. Really quick, I just want to remind everybody, all of our work is centered around the culturally responsive education model, which is the largest part of our work that we do out of our office. And what it is, it's a framework for educating our staff, our students, and all of our members of the Henrico County Public School system about becoming more culturally responsive, because we do live in a diverse society and we do need to learn how to coexist, how to understand each other, and how to find common human experiences that make us special and make us the special community that we are. I want to note that Dr. Monica Mans is our Chief Equity Officer. Tiffany Lewis is one of the education specialists who I work alongside with. And then myself, again, Deanna Fierro, an education specialist. One big exciting announcement is that we have been recognized through the National Association of Counties as leading the work of several initiatives that advance our students, the whole child of our students. And so our cultural responsive education model that I mentioned earlier won an award. We've been working continuously since about 2018 when our strategic plan was first initiated to lead this work. And so there you see Dr. Monica Mans receiving an award from our chief school board member, Marcy Shia. Again, we remind you, we do have for employees, we have our internal website where you can find resources, a list of texts, books, videos, and lesson plans related to the Cultural Heritage Series that we do throughout the school year, and also activities and lessons that you can implement and incorporate to your instruction any time of the year, not just during these months. So keep an eye out for our different months that will be coming out on announcements to our social media platforms and through internal and external newsletters and email. All right, so I'm very excited to have our special guest today. She is a member of VTEC, the Virginia Tribal Education Consortium. We have Kara Taquka from Canaday, yes, and she is a citizen of the Chickahominy tribe. Kara is a Chief Executive Officer of the Virginia Tribal Education Consortium, and it is the first tribal education agency of its type in the United States. All federally recognized tribes in the Commonwealth of Virginia have joined together under one consortium, united for education. Prior to joining VTEC, Kara taught special education in K-6 self-contained classrooms for 4 years. While teaching, she was awarded Charles City County Elementary Schools 2019-2020 Teacher of the Year and Charles City County Public Schools Division Teacher of the Year for the whole division. That's awesome. 2019-2020. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Kara's family's fostered a sense of pride towards her indigenous heritage by exposing her to tribal culture throughout her life. Following the footsteps of her grandmother, the first Miss Chickahominy, Kara has proudly served 3 terms representing the Chickahominy tribe as Junior Miss Chickahominy 2009 to 2010 and Miss Chickahominy 2011-2013. Since 2016, Kara has actively participated in mission trip to Standing Rock Indian Reservation with the Actings group from her home church, Samaria Baptist Church in South Dakota. This group serves the Sioux tribe in Little Eagle by preparing meals, making crafts, playing games with the youth, and spreading the word of our Creator. Kara enjoys spending her free time getting crafty with her many planners, journaling, going on adventures with friends, and spending time with those she cherishes most, including her cat, Velcro. That's a really cool name. Thank you so much for being with us. We're excited to hear what you have to share with us from the organization that's been doing amazing work.
Thank you. Very excited to have been asked to do this presentation with you today. All right, so Wingapo, everyone. Again, my name is Taquka Canaday. I am a citizen of the Chickahominy Indian Tribe of Virginia and the Chief Executive Officer of the Virginia Tribal Education Consortium. We serve as the tribal education agency for the Commonwealth of Virginia. I always like to start my slides with this lovely photo we have here. We have a teacher and students that are posing outside of the Sharon Indian School. This was the school built for the Upper Mattaponi tribe in 1919 and then rebuilt in 1952. This building is still standing and used by the Upper Mattaponi tribe. It is right beside their home church, Indian View Baptist Church, Indian View Church. But the Upper Mattaponi tribe does still utilize this building for different events such as meals after homecoming or different church events. Do y'all know how many indigenous tribes are in our state? We have 11 total tribes. 7 of them are federally recognized. If you're not sure what that means, when tribes are federally recognized, they have a working relationship with not only our state government officials, but also our federal government. State recognized tribes have a relationship with the state government only. The federally recognized tribes in Virginia are listed here: the Chickahominy tribe, the Chickahominy tribe Eastern Division, the Monacan Indian Nation, Nansemond Indian Nation, Pamunkey tribe, Rappahannock tribe, and Upper Mattaponi Indian tribe. Our 4 state recognized tribes are the Cherokee-Nottoway Indian tribe, the Mattaponi Indian tribe, Nottoway Indian tribe, and the Patawomack Indian tribe. Public Law 115-121, known as the Thomasina E. Jordan Indian Tribes of Virginia Federal Recognition Act of 2017, was signed into federal law on January 29, 2018. This gave recognition to the Chickahominy, Eastern Chickahominy, Monacan, Nansemond, Rappahannock, and Upper Mattaponi tribes. Those are only 6 of our 7 federally recognized tribes. The Pamunkey tribe was the first in Virginia to receive federal recognition status. This was on July the 2nd, 2015, through the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Slide. Being a citizen of the Chickahominy Indian tribe, I can best discuss our tribal culture. Visuals and speaking have always been important in Indian country. Here's the symbol of the Chickahominy tribe. There are a lot of visuals here with different meanings. The 2 ears of corn represent the meaning of Chickahominy, coarse-pounded corn people. In the middle, we have a turtle. The turtle is the animal of the Chickahominy tribe, and this is not to be confused with a spirit animal, so to speak, but an animal as a symbol. My father shared with me the reasoning his grandmother shared with him as to why we recognize the turtle as our animal. The turtle is the oldest animal in the woodlands. Therefore, it is considered the wisest animal. Did you know that turtles can live up to around 80 years? That's longer than any other animal calls the woodlands home. The 4 colors around the turtle are known as the medicine wheel. The meaning behind each color will depend on who you ask. Different tribes recognize different meanings. Some may tell you that the colors represent the 4 seasons: winter, spring, summer, and fall, while others may say the colors represent the 4 stages of life: birth, childhood, adulthood, and death. Another individual may tell you they represent the 4 directions: north, east, south, and west. Regardless of which indigenous tribe the person is from, they know what the medicine wheel is. Slide. Now that our tribes have federal recognition status, Chief Emeritus Ken Adams, pictured here, was able to gather all the chiefs and form VTEC. Through federal grant funding, the chiefs were able to establish VTEC as the Tribal Education Agency. A Tribal Education Agency, or a TEA, means the agency of an eligible Indian tribe or a group of tribes, such as our consortium, that is primarily responsible for supporting tribal students' education. Not only do we support the education of our tribal students, we are also able to support facilitation of accurate Virginia Indigenous history through teacher professional learning. And it brings me great joy to report that Henrico County Public School Systems is collaborating with VTEC on these awesome efforts. Our current grants are listed here. First, the State Tribal Education Partnership Capacity Building Grant. that has allowed us to build relationships with Virginia Public Schools and to expand on the activities that the TEDNA grant began. Our Career and Technical Education grants and Native Youth Community Project both support Virginia's Indigenous youth to ensure they are ready for high-skilled, high-wage occupations and industry sectors upon their high school graduation. Slide. To support our mission of supporting Indigenous education, VTEC is currently working with various resource partners, such as the Virginia Department of Education, Secretary of Education, higher education institutions, our universities and community colleges, public schools, and Code VA, to ensure all Virginia students are receiving the most accurate history lesson possible. The VTEC has provided teacher professional learning to include a virtual module on our website. We have conducted curriculum reviews, implemented career and technical education programs in conjunction with Code VA, and began the process with our tribal leaders to draft 3 education codes that will ensure our Native students are able to stay connected with their heritage. Slide. So this concludes my short presentation about the Virginia Tribal Education Consortium. I encourage all of you to follow our new social media pages. We are at VTEC for Education on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Again, these are new pages, so we are slowly but surely building our following and sharing different photos and videos of different events that we attend throughout the Commonwealth.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I do want to know, we have a video here. Can you just give us a summary about the video?
Absolutely. So this video was put together as a part of our STEP grant, one of our capacity building activities. We partnered with an Indigenous filmmaking group called PIPS, that stands for Pamunkey Indian Enterprise Professional Services. So that is an Indigenous owned and operated business. They're also award-winning filmmakers. This video was put together to showcase what VTEC is, what we're all for, our mission, our vision, and how individuals can join our efforts. This video is on the VTEC website as well as YouTube, but if you go to our website, vtecinc.org, listed here, and you scroll down to the bottom of that homepage, you can also find it there. So you can always share that with any friends, relatives, and community members.
Awesome. Thank you. And we'll be showing it at the end of this presentation. We'll also link it into our internal website, and we'll share it out on our social media pages as well. So you brought some resources that you wanted to mention. Can you share with us what you have here?
Absolutely. So here we have the Penguin Random House Native American Heritage Month book list. So the awesome publishers at Penguin Random House are giving 15% of their net proceeds through the month of November in honor of Native American Heritage Month to the American Indian College Fund to support their mission to invest in Native students and tribal college education to transform our Indigenous lives and communities.
So,
all right, and our next one, American Indians and Children's Literature. We have an awesome picture here of Dr. Debbie Reese. She created this blog that has reviewed thousands of books related to Indigenous culture. For our teachers, if you find a book in Books A Million or on Amazon, wherever, I highly encourage you to go to this website. In the top left corner, there will be a search bar and you can search the title. Chances are Dr. Reese has reviewed this book. So Dr. Reese is a citizen of the Pueblo, and she is an extremely well thought of woman throughout the Indigenous community. So her word is very trustworthy. Let's put it that way. She not only reviews Indigenous books, but other minority groups as well, African American. I believe I've seen some books about LGBTQIA plus issues and things like that. So if you have a book about any marginalized or minority group, I highly recommend you utilize her blog post and search that book there to see what she recommends or does not recommend.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We're always looking for for resources that we can share with our educators that have been peer reviewed by professionals who not only do they know what is quality work, but they actually know the cultures behind these texts. So thank you so much. So real quick, we're just going to go over a little bit of Q&A here. I just kind of want to talk about what's going on right now in Virginia. As you know, your organization knows there's been some controversy related to some of the history recommendations for social studies K through 12 here in Virginia through the Virginia Department of Education. And so we were talking about earlier before we started recording that today there was some public comment about the newest revisions that are being proposed. I saw that many members of VTEC were participating in the public comment. So could you share with us, Kara, about like some of the messaging, some of the concerns that your organization is trying to make sure get addressed in the recent revisions?
Absolutely. So I was very excited to see the representation from some of our VTEC staff and board members there. Being an education group, we are governed by a board. So we had our secretary of our executive board there, and then our board member, Dr. Aaron Winston, as well. I highly encourage you all to go back to the YouTube live stream. I know they usually post the video after it has been live streamed. But not only did we have representation from our Indigenous community, but plenty of marginalized groups throughout the Commonwealth. But the biggest issue that could have been found on page 1 is that Indigenous people were referred to as the first immigrants of our nation. That was very hard to read. It was very discouraging to see that we've gone from First Peoples to I think it was some news station at one point said that we were something else. More recently, we've been called Indigenous creatures, and now we're the first immigrants. So it's interesting in Indian country. And somebody also had pointed out, Courtney Wynn, who's also a citizen of the Chickahominy tribe, she had public comment in the beginning, and she mentioned this is a slap in the face almost during Native American Heritage Month, that on the first page, we're going to teach kindergartners about the United States first immigrants. So that was kind of tough to swallow. It was tough to see, but we're loud and proud. Like any small group, there's power in numbers. For those who were not able to attend today, we did write letters. We contacted our teacher friends. I know plenty of incredible educators throughout the Commonwealth, and I made sure to share that information with them to make sure they were made aware of what was being said. So we have a lot of allies. We have a lot of support in our communities. The tribal chiefs are a little bit busy with that Pocahontas reframed this coming weekend. So I know we'll touch on that in a moment. So we didn't have any chief representation, but to have the numbers that we did come out for the Indigenous community, we can at least start the conversation. We want folks to know, I know it was mentioned multiple times, we are still here. Folks think that Natives were completely eradicated, smallpox, Trail of Tears. And my dad was one of the commenters today, Carrie Canaday. He mentions Walter Plecker. He was the registrar in Virginia, and he committed paper genocide. He burned every document that stated Native American. You were either Black or white. There was no Native American. It just showcases the resilience of the Indigenous people, and we always show up and let folks know we are still here.
That's awesome. Yeah, there were some very powerful comments that were mentioned today. Now you were saying it too. There's a lot of these misconceptions about what happens if we don't have the marginalized minority groups be a part of the conversations towards, influence what the curriculum is going to be and how it's taught and presented to our students. And so you having been a teacher in the K-6, especially where, that's where a lot of our students hear the first time about Native Americans and the history of Indigenous people here in these lands. What are some of the misconceptions that you've seen, and not necessarily intentionally that are taught, but that are like just easily overlooked if you are not familiar with the culture?
Oh man, my favorite to mention would be Disney's feel-good version of Pocahontas. That is also one of the first introductions to Indigenous people that children are exposed to. And sure, as a young child, maybe kindergarten age, sure, that's an appropriate movie. But as we get older, we need to teach the narrative that that is not the truth. That is the Disney version. That is not historically accurate. That is not historically sound. It never has been. It never will be. It wasn't really a love story. It was not. Pocahontas was taken from her homelands She died in England, where her remains still lay, and we don't even know where that marker is. Her son is buried somewhere in Hopewell, Virginia. There is a placard in Hopewell acknowledging that his remains are somewhere within that area, as well as his daughter, so Pocahontas's granddaughter. Another misconception, we continue to use the term Pocahontas, but her name was Matoaka. So that is just the first one off the top of my head that always just comes to be. I can say I've done some work with some other school systems throughout my time with VTEC. And one thing that has really just stuck out to me is how we teach fourth grade Virginia studies. As a teacher, it was just so refreshing when I worked with a school system and a teacher brought it upon my attention that we continue to teach the narrative from the Jamestown perspective. Students don't really get the perspective of where Wacomico, that area that the natives were in, that was the town, that was the community that our indigenous people were in, was where Wacomico. It was across the river from Jamestown. The natives were not in Jamestown. Those were two completely separate places. So those are just a couple of misconceptions that I think about off the top of my head when it comes to the narrative that our students are teaching. I think the newly proposed SOLs that just abruptly came about and shocked all of us. I personally served on the committee that reviewed the SOLs at the beginning of this process. And now that these standards have been revised, and I think it speaks volumes that there was so much backlash and there was no consultation with our indigenous people, our African American, our Hispanic and Mexican and Latinx communities, our Jewish communities, any marginalized group throughout the not only Commonwealth of Virginia, but the United States. There was no consultation whatsoever with them. I know the superintendent of public instruction has now stated she does plan to have some sort of consultation with these groups, but I think I'll just leave it at that.
So good to be able to have seen so many groups that were represented there to make sure that their voices are heard. I know that's a lot of the work that we do out of our office. And it's very important, we know, in how we teach our children to make sure that they're also advocating for the voices of their own groups, their own communities, their own culture, and those that don't have that platform all the time to hear their voice. One of the things that I heard, which was really interesting, because I'm not originally from Virginia, having come from Southwest Texas, I'm learning a lot of the history, like other people that move here to Richmond into the state of Virginia. I did hear Dr. Aaron Winston, is that correct? That's his name? Yes. He mentioned that the name of Richmond wasn't Richmond, and so that's a concept that I guess myself had never really thought about until recently, that, like you said, in these texts, the history as it's written, it makes it sound as if though these lands were always nameless and then got named and they got the names of Richmond now, but they actually have names that have been here always with the people that have always been here. So could you share a little bit of that history with us?
Yeah, sure thing. So I know I mentioned where Wacomico, that's one of the areas that the indigenous people were. But the word that Dr. Aaron Winston utilized was Sinakamaka. It's a very, very interesting word. It is spelled, I actually just looked it up on my other screen here so I can give you all the accurate spelling, but it's Tsenacamoco. A lot of people pronounce it as Sinakamoko, Tsinakamoko. It's Sinakamaka. It is the land of Chief Powhatan in his paramount chiefdom. So another common misconception I can share is that I'm a citizen of the Chickahominy tribe. While Powhatan did have rule over multiple tribes, the Chickahominy tribe was never under Chief Powhatan's rule. We had that government to government relationship with Chief Powhatan. But yes, Sinakamaka is the term. It is the Algonquin term for the land that we inhabited.
Wow, that's so cool. I feel like we could just spend a whole several hours talking about the history. I mean, I love it. It's just amazing. There's so much to learn, and it's so important to teach our youth all of that. So my last question is this. There's always this idea of like, okay, well, if we don't know about the groups, we don't know about the tribes, we should just go visit them. But I always personally am cautious about that, because these are people's homes. This is your home. We don't want to just knock on the door and be like, teach us, right? So if somebody is interested in learning more and potentially visiting spaces that are for education, what can we do and where can we go?
Oh, I have so many answers for you.
And I'm sure we'll be visiting your website and collaborating to get more ideas as well.
That's one of them. That's my obvious first one. Definitely visit vtecinc.org. I believe my website, my email was mentioned in the slideshow as well. So you're always welcome to visit our website and or email me. We have gone through quite a few staff changes and just organizational changes, so bear with us. Our website may not be 100% accurate, so I can guarantee if you email kara.canaday@vtecinc.org, I will respond. So that is one way if you want to know more information or want to get connected with a specific tribe. I could definitely facilitate that for you. I would also say check the tribe's website. All of the federally recognized and state tribes have their own website. Some tribes have their own museums. So in addition to the museum, we have 2 reservations here in Virginia. So the Pamunkey Indian Reservation and the Mattaponi Indian Reservation. Both are located in King William County. Both of them have museums as well on their reservations, and you can visit those. They have information on their websites. The Monacan Indian Nation also has a museum with more information on their website. So we do have some awesome museums here in the Commonwealth. The Chickahominy tribe does not have a museum specifically, but we do have artifacts, a ton of great images and pottery and just all kinds of awesome stuff to share with our communities located in our tribal center. We are in the Charles City, Virginia area. And I also encourage everyone to come to a powwow. If you have never been to a powwow, it is such a great experience. I have brought so many different friends of many different walks of life, many different backgrounds, various ages, and we just tell them, come. It is an open event. It is not a closed ceremony. It is not something that you're not allowed to come to. One of the greatest things about being a part of VTEC, we get to share that with people. I grew up in the Native community. I grew up in Charles City County. I grew up within the Chickahominy community. I grew up dancing. I still have a regalia. I dance at most powwows. Now VTEC has a booth at the powwows, so I'm usually there educating folks. But there is a website you can go to, powwows.com. It will show you all the different websites, not all websites, excuse me. It'll show you all the different powwows happening within the United States, not even in Virginia. So your family out in Texas, if they are interested in attending a powwow, powwows.com. They have a whole calendar there. There's also a Facebook group. I think it's called Virginia Powwows. But if you want to know about a specific tribe's powwow, go to their website. They'll have it listed there. Personally, the Chickahominy powwow, it is held on the last Saturday and Sunday of September every year. It has been that way for 70 years. So we don't plan on changing it. So every last Saturday and Sunday in September, I welcome you all to come out to the Chickahominy Tribal Grounds in Charles City, Virginia. If you need directions, they have them on the website. You can just Google Chickahominy and the website will come up. So I hope to see you all at a powwow one day.
Oh, I can see us doing field trips for sure.
Yes,
and it's so cool. It is so awesome. I can see your passion really come through, which is really amazing. I really love this work. And Kara, thank you so much for meeting with me. I love meeting new people. We love meeting new people and introducing our students to cultures that they might have not known about, or that, we want to make sure we get it right, get the stories right. Correct. So one more resource that I want to share with the Virginia Fine Arts Museum has an annual film festival. This is Pocahontas Refamed, telling real stories about Native American Indigenous communities here in the United States. We're hopefully we'll get one of these films to do a screening. We'll do one of the screenings of these films later on, if not within this month, sometime during the year, because like I said earlier, you can celebrate these cultures and heritages all the time. Right? It doesn't have to be only within 30 days. So if anybody's interested, it's coming up this weekend, but that'll be available there. Some of the films are on there all the time, and they're also available in your streaming services to rent for viewing. And with that, we just remind everybody to visit our website, visit our social media platforms where we'll be sharing this video. Once we'll get it nice and cleaned up and edit it, we'll share it out there with everybody. But thank you so much again to Kara from the Virginia Tribal Education Consortium. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Virginia's history books are full of stories about Virginians helping with the founding of America. Stories of decisive battles in the Revolutionary and Civil Wars, our role as one of the original 13 colonies, and as the place where the first representative government was formed in 1619. Although that history is valuable and worth telling, for thousands of years before that first permanent settlement, there was a vast network of indigenous groups living and interacting in the area that came to be known as Virginia. As more and more Europeans came to America, those strong and proud groups of Virginia Indians were overwhelmed, and some think they eventually faded away into history books. But the truth is, those indigenous communities did not just fade away. They continued to live, work, and thrive in Virginia. But because they were dominated by the majority group, their story has been relegated to short paragraphs in many school books or even overlooked altogether. For decades, Virginia Indians learned about their culture, not from school, but from their communities.
That's one thing as tribal citizens that we've always been concerned about, always wanted to do, is to make our history more available to other people, to make it a part of the curriculum in the Commonwealth of Virginia, because, as you know, it's been very limited. Generally, after Pocahontas is studied, we kind of drop out of the history books, and that doesn't mean we disappeared. It's just we just don't appear in the books.
And when I took Virginia history, it was about reading in the books about the struggle of not getting along with the settlers and the Indians. It was one against the other. And the story was painted always that the Indian was the savage.
Understanding that this narrative and lack of access had to change, the federally recognized tribes of Virginia have worked together with the Commonwealth of Virginia and the federal government to provide access to teachers and students to learn more about the culture, language, and history of Virginia's first people. This group, entitled the Virginia Tribal Education Consortium, or VTEC, has a stated goal: to the empowerment, betterment, and ultimate success of tribal youth in Virginia, by helping to facilitate educational opportunities and career training and ensuring that accurate historical information regarding Virginia Indians is available to them.
The consortium is made up of 7 tribes, all of the federally recognized tribes of Virginia, and our main thrust is to provide education assistance to Virginia Indian Native students, parents, teachers, and educators based on cultural relevant education. What is cultural relevant education? It's an education to where teachers are retained and recruited and taught to be able to understand why cultural relevant education is important.
The mission of the VTEC is to partner with state and local agencies, Virginia Department of Education, and local education agencies, which includes school districts, colleges, and universities, as well as Virginia Indian nations and Native individuals. These groups will establish Native-sanctioned educational codes, provide opportunities for Native youth to receive the education and training they need to become successful adults and contributing members of their tribal communities, while also providing much-needed professional development for teachers and administrators.
One of the difficulties that teachers are facing is that they don't know where to look for these resources. I know they want to find these resources that are culturally relevant and accurate, but they don't know where to begin. We are in the process of working with almost every school system in Virginia. So instead of professional development, I like to think of it as a toolbox for our teachers. So we're providing them with books that would be great to add to their classrooms, different websites, different activities that they can utilize within their classrooms for their students.
I guess when I reflect on VTEC, one thing that really gets me animated, gets me moving, is the fact that we have young people there who are clamoring for knowledge. They want to know more about themselves, and as they learn, they share it with others. And so VTEC has kind of opened the doors to school systems that we hadn't been privy to in the past, and they've done it in a way that they're proven to the school systems it's beneficial to you. It's not a one-off. It's not zero-sum. It's something where you win and I win.
As previously mentioned, VTEC is working in conjunction with the Commonwealth Secretary of Education and Superintendent of Instruction to assist teacher equality and advance career and technical education programs to prepare American Indian participants to meet academic and technical standards for high-skill, high-wage, or in-demand industry sectors or occupations in emerging or established professions, while also promoting continuous learning and continuity of our native language and culture through focus-based learning sessions with our elder citizens. But VTEC is designed to do more than just help teachers and Indian students. Its framework should help all students better understand the culture and history of Indians here in the Commonwealth.
VTEC is going to be important to both groups, but I think in general they're probably more beneficial to the non-native community because as tribal people we generally know our history, at least some components of it. Some of us know more than others, but the larger population knows very little about our history, and so I think with VTEC setting up the educational components and the professional development path for teachers, it's certainly going to open it up to the entire population.
Well, as the parent of a 4th grade Virginia student, I've seen what comes home, and I've seen there really is a lack of any evidence that we still exist. And I understand that it's history, but the way it talks, everything is in past tense. It doesn't even acknowledge that the tribes have moved and changed and that we're still here.
That sentiment of "we're still here" is one that so many Virginia Indians tell anyone who will listen. Generations of Virginia Indians want not only to bring a renewed understanding of our culture to the fore, but also feel the need to tell our story of our recent history as well. For years, our communities were purposely hidden and kept apart from the population by the government, and educational standards for our students was often substandard. In fact, many Indians in Virginia were forced to attend segregated Indian schools, and in some cases, children were forced to leave their families in Virginia and travel to states as far away as Kansas and Oklahoma just to get educated.
I would love for the teachers to somehow communicate how difficult it was for Indians even in the 20th century. And it was only after schools were integrated in the 60s did my generation begin to be allowed to go to regular public schools. Prior to that, we went to small Indian schools. And I myself had to go 300 miles away from where I lived to finish my high school education, because that was what happened during my day.
Our school was built in 1896, a one-room log school. It did 1st through 5th grade. Anything after that, you did mail order type classes for a couple of the kids that were smart enough for the 6th and 7th grade, but there was no high school. Very important thing to realize as a teacher, our first high school graduate was in 1970. So we're not talking ancient history.
I think it's important to understand how Indian students were made to feel, and if I could put a word to it, I would say as if they were less than, less important than other students, less important than other people. And that's why it's so important that Indian students be taught that they are as important as any other student in the school.
As we move forward, VTEC will help bridge the historical divide that has been there for Indian students, while also providing relevant information that will help contextualize and inform future generations of Indigenous youth and their educators and classmates.
I mean, other than, I think VTEC, the Virginia tribes are fortunate to have the people in place at VTEC that they have. They're people that are very committed to the mission of VTEC, and they're very capable. Not just committed, but they have the skills and they have the different things that they need to make it happen. And I see them doing a lot of good things already, and so I have a lot of hope for what the future is going to be for the educational system in Virginia.
If you would like to find out how your school system can work with VTEC, please visit the VTEC website.